So now that I've finished my second last semester of university, I've been thinking about something recently. A lot, actually. Men never stopped fighting our battles. We just stopped caring about coming home. And it's not because men got weaker, it's not because we stopped caring so much, but it's because we lost our North Star. So today I want to actually talk about what those stars were, what they mean to us, where they went, and how we get them back. For thousands of years, men fought for something every day. Whether that be a home, a tribe, a meaning, a cause, or just a woman waiting on the shore. Odysseus had Penelope, Master Chief had Duty and Cortana, and Marcus Felix had a crew of brothers who would die for him. And we have phone notifications that go off every single second, and a society that can't decide whether masculinity in men are the problem or the punchline. So yeah, it completely makes sense why there's a whole generation of men who are lost. I mean, we grew up with heroes with quests, and then we spawned in with no map and no mentor and no save file. Take Odysseus. 10 years of war, 10 more years of fighting gods and beasts and armies, all to get home to a single woman who was waiting for him. But Penelope wasn't just his wife. She was his compass, his North Star, and everything he endured because he needed to get back to her. She was his North Star. When he was stranded on Calypso with a generational baddie in the form of a goddess that was madly in love with him, he was able to break the temptation of staying because he knew that he needed to follow his North Star back to Penelope. Because direction gives men gravity. It becomes stronger than temptation. Psychologists use Bowlby's theory of secure base to explain this phenomenon. And Bowlby's secure base is basically a secure point that people orientate them around so they can explore knowing that they have somewhere safe to come back to. Without that safety, it leads to anxious detachment styles. And we all know how that ends. Odysseus had one in the form of Penelope. Most men don't have that secure base anymore. But I agree with you, I'm also very single, so what happens if we don't have that Penelope? Well, let me give you another example. We, as a man, I know for a fact that we all grew up with John 117 Master Chief. We thought he was the coolest guy ever, and we all played Halo and thought, I want to be like him. He was the GOAT. He was the one that we all wanted to become. He was the blueprint of stoic masculinity. Get the job done. John 117 was taken from his home as a child, and he was forged into a weapon. No childhood, a ton of trauma, no choice, just pure discipline. And instead of falling apart under it, he took all of it in. The burden, the conditioning, the pain, and he weaponized it into purpose. Protect humanity, finish the fight. Stand when everyone else falls. That was his job. His North Star wasn't a person. It was responsibility. Modern life throws thousands of distractions at us every single day. So no wonder we're all combusting under the pressure. It completely makes sense. But growing up, whether it was a wife, a mission, a brotherhood, a kingdom, the heroes we admired growing up had something to move toward. So, what happened to our North Stars? Where did they go? I mean, it's simple. They retired and nothing replaced them. The missions disappeared, the new ones never arrived. I heard a saying once, I can't remember who it was from, but it was something along the lines of men once used their aggression and their adventurousness to combat the seven seas, take over politics, and wage war for meaning. And now men have none of those things to use their traits for, but that doesn't mean their traits disappear. It just means that combating and that aggression goes inwards. Duty turned to burnout culture. Community turned into Discord servers and Reddit. Faith faded and dating turned into a grocery store marketplace. And meaning got lost somewhere in between follow your dreams and I can't afford rent. And that collapse created what I think are three main crises. Crisis number one, the meaning crisis. Nobody even knows what a good life is meant to look like anymore. Crisis number 2, the relationship crisis. The polarity between men and women and traditional roles, or just roles in general, have snapped, and now everyone is confused. Dating now feels like customer service with extra steps. And number 3. I'm just making sure that's 3. I lost count. The psychological literacy crisis. People are suffering and they have no idea how to describe what's actually going on. They don't have the language or the tools to talk about what's actually happening. So they stick to themselves. Why talk about it when you don't even know what words to use, right? But the crazy thing is that all 3 of these crises came from a single spot. The thing that orientated men, the thing that orientated us, it no longer exists anymore. So how did the North Star actually die? It seems weird looking back in history because everyone had a meaning. But what happened? How were we born into a world where we have no idea where we're meant to be going? Well, we lost religion, we lost community, we lost rites of passage, dating became logistics, and working became burnout. And every single structure that was used to turn men into something solid has completely collapsed. Or we've just started treating masculinity like a problem to solve instead of something to aim. Today, we as men still want direction. We just don't have the maps to tell us where to go. And for the first time in history, man's mission is completely optional. We have no tribe to defend, we have no religion to inherit, and we have no guaranteed career path. I mean, you can see it with the economy and AI and everything, but even looking at it from the freedom of choice, freedom sounds incredible until it comes at the cost of zero narrative. We replaced crusades with CrossFit. We changed brotherhood into Discord channels and Reddit, and we replaced purpose with whatever distracts us enough to keep us away from the friction. And so what happens if we continue to ignore this problem? Well, I don't know if we can use this word on YouTube because I'm new to this, but the S word of like no longer being here has been higher than ever and is mainly made up of men. And if you ignore that directionlessness, it doesn't disappear, it just turns inward. Men were built to take on danger, to solve problems, and to grow in friction. Nietzsche, one of the greatest philosophers to ever exist, once said, "Only through suffering and resistance does man become who he is." Friction isn't punishment, it is transcendence. So when the world removes friction, aggression doesn't vanish, it just turns back on man himself. And this is where you get the birth of depression, nihilism, self-doubt, shame. Not because men are weak, but because men are full of strength and they have nowhere to aim it. We're not living in ancient Greece anymore, obviously, but we're living in a content apocalypse where everyone keeps telling us what we should be doing, and we're not even listening to ourselves. Love has turned into obsession. Tinder has turned into grocery store dating. Duty turned into hustle culture. Faith turned into brand loyalty, which is now just insane identity politics. Exploration, which was one of the greatest things that humankind ever had, has somehow twisted itself into escapism. We have freedom at the cost of gravity, an individual expression with no collective transcendence. And this is where we talk about the Tyler Durden trap. I don't know if that's actually a word for it, I just thought about it. I'm sure like many men out there, we've all kind of seen or heard of Fight Club, one of the greatest movies to ever exist. And growing up, I thought Tyler Durden was the coolest guy ever. And I was like, yeah, I want to be like him. He is awesome. So sick. Who doesn't want to just not give a fuck and be your own man? Awesome. He almost sounds like what I'm describing, right? And like I said, like I wanted to be Tyler Durden. I thought he was the coolest guy ever. Now I study psychology, not so much. Psychology's kind of ruined it for me. I think one of the reasons why we liked Tyler Durden so much is when life feels good, nihilism feels very powerful. I watch Asmongold a lot. I think he's very smart, and he's the reason why I'm sitting right here. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here right now. Asmongold has said multiple times, and I agree with him to some extent. When people don't play by the rules, don't play the game, because you're just going to lose. Asmongold says, if you play chess with a pigeon, the pigeon will just kick off all the pieces and shit on the board. So why even bother playing? I agree with that to some extent, but it's also a trap. Tyler Durden isn't purpose. He is what Jung, the psychologist, would call the shadow. Tyler Durden is what happens when you have a man with no mission and no structure, but is just completely full of resentment. And you could say like he had a mission. He organized an army and he succeeded in economic terrorism, or just terrorism, I guess. But what comes after that? Well, nothing, because the movie ends. But if we wanted to follow on with TV and shows and movies, maybe some people have seen the TV show Mr. Robot, one of the greatest TV shows ever. They did the same thing. They nuked all the buildings and wiped all of the data and cleared debt for every American and person in the world, I think. It's definitely every American. It was probably everyone in the world. All the debt was gone. And you know what happened straight away? Everyone turned on themselves while the rich bunkered down, and they were completely fine. They were having a great time. All of the middle class and poor people started eating each other. Asmongold says on something else as well. Is everyone seems to think that there is a revolution coming, that people are going to rise up, that people are going to eat the rich, we're going to take over the rich, screw the billionaires. It's never going to happen. I'm so sorry. I agree with you that I don't like that there are people struggling to afford rent and afford food. But you know what's going to happen? Like Asmongold says, the rich are just going to pay half of us to kill the other half. Problem solved. I'm 90% sure that's how the French Revolution happened. So, does Tyler Durden's path of just absolute contrarianism actually work? No, it doesn't. It's a path that isolates you. The world is going to keep moving forward while you are pushing back, and you're going to get left behind because you went completely contrarian. Rebellion feels powerful for 5 minutes. Direction makes you powerful for a lifetime. Nietzsche again once said, choose the weight to carry that's worth carrying. Suffering plus responsibility equals transformation. And that is the opposite of nihilism. And even with everything collapsing around us, people still crave the three things that they talk about in the psychological framework self-determination theory. Autonomy, competence, belonging. And we can see this in real time with men's groups and gyms and workshops, martial art places, dojos. And even in our video games growing up and movies, we all saw this. Gears of War had a brotherhood, Space Marines had a chapter. They aren't video game fantasies, they are psychological archetypes. And unfortunately, we've lost them. But it's fine, because we can bring it back. We can make our own North Stars again. We just need to find them. So, if a lack of direction is the problem, what are the 3 conditions a North Star needs to get me back on track? Number 1 is scaled down transcendence. Something bigger than yourself that's still actionable today. Number 2 is friction. Friction wakes us up, and friction moves us forward to grow. And number 3 is a purpose beyond the self. Men collapse inward when everything is about them. But we also need to be careful of counterfeit North Stars. Things like algorithmic validation, hyper-political identities, endless self-care spirals, and dopamine without duty. They feel like purpose, but they don't orient you. So one of the most important questions is, if direction is so important and crucial, why don't men chase it? Number 1, avoidance. Direction requires vulnerability, and moving forward risks failure. Number 2 is cynicism. Cynicism looks smart, but it's grief disguised as intellect. You can't disappoint me if I've already decided that the world sucks. Number 3 is shame. Starting small proves how low you've fallen, but you need to twist it to doing the dishes could be your first step in redemption. Number 4 is distraction. Everything digital is just a pacifier, and we live in a world where we can keep existential dread on airplane mode. And number 5 is just complete distrust. People don't trust that the effort is worth it anymore. They don't believe the effort pays off. And when I started thinking about this, the first thought I had was, bro, I can't even pick a New Year's resolution. I can't even think of what my goals are from this year. How am I meant to pick a North Star? Like, it seems like a lot. And honestly, I'm still figuring it out too. But there are some things that psychology actually teaches us. Every human has a hunger for meaning. It feels like an irritation, like how your stomach hurts when you're hungry. Our minds know what they need. We live in a world where we have stopped listening. So we use something called behavioral activation. Behavior comes first, emotions follow afterwards. You use it with depression. When you're feeling depressed, you don't sit in bed waiting until you feel better to leave bed. You get out of bed, you do what you need to do. Hopefully the behavior has created a path for the emotions and feelings to follow, instead of the other way. We build momentum before clarity arrives. One small act of agency, and then another, and then another, and then we find community and shared interests and tribesmanship, and you hit a flow, and you become self-forgetful of how bad you're feeling, and then you transcend through immersion. And eventually, pain becomes evidence of pursuit instead of failure.
Okay. Here's the secret to being happy.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
Just pretend you are happy, and eventually you'll forget you're pretending.
And we know we're on track when it comes to finding a North Star because our brains will tell us. It's talking to us every day. If you ask yourself, what do I really want? Which a lot of people don't do. I know I didn't do it for a while. You need to sit down and really think about, what do you want? Ask yourself out loud. Really. And don't say, oh, I want $1 million or I want a Lamborghini. If you say that, you're on the right track, but then ask yourself, okay, now what do I actually want? And maybe you want the Lamborghini because you want to look cool or successful in front of people. And then you ask yourself again, what do you actually want? And then you hear yourself say, I want to feel respected. I want to respect myself. I'm tired of living like this. I want to live a life I'm not embarrassed of. And now you know the direction you need to start going. Direction isn't chosen, it reveals itself as soon as your mind trusts you to speak. So how do we start this today? Well, there's 3 quests that we can choose. Obviously, I grew up playing World of Warcraft, so I'm going to stick with this vocabulary. Number 1 is the cleaning quest. What can you clean in your immediate vicinity right now? And this creates agency. It turns chaos into order. Number 2 is the strength quest. Do one thing that makes you stronger, whether it's physically, socially, or intellectually. Read 2 pages of a book, lift some weight, or do 20 push-ups, or apply for that job that you were looking on. We grew up watching Goku train in a cryopod a whole goddamn season while he was on his way to Frieza. If he can do it, we can do it. And number 3 is the truth quest. Tell something uncomfortable either to yourself or to someone else and confront it. Take the power away from it being uncomfortable. If you bring it forward instead of waiting for it to come to you, you are taking the power away. It's emotional deadlifting. It's creating accountability and responsibility and sparking transcendence. These quests don't give you purpose, they prepare you for one. Frodo didn't know he was going to save Middle-earth.
I will take the ring to Mordor.
Luke Skywalker didn't know that leaving his little tiny-ass farm planet meant that he was going to face off against the 2 most powerful Sith Lords in the whole entire world, or galaxy. We don't discover purpose, we step into it. And we do that through one decision at a time. And obviously you would know that I've been speaking directly to men right now, and that's because I am one. And I'm not gonna pretend like I know the psychology of women. I know psychology, sure, because I'm a 3rd-year student, I'm about to graduate, and I want to become a clinical psychologist. But there's a difference between what I read in a book and actually having lived experience as a woman. So I'm speaking directly to men because I have that lived experience. We aren't lost, we're overstimulated, we're undercommitted, and we aren't dedicating ourselves to one single thing consistently. Our heroes growing up didn't find quests. They started moving and those quests revealed themselves to us. And that movement leads to Frodo carrying the most dangerous ring in the world all the way to the fiery gates of Mordor when he was just a mere hobbit. Or Luke Skywalker, a teenager, defeating a galactic empire and the two most badass Siths in the whole entire galaxy and destroying two planet-sized doomsday devices. Our North Star is going to appear as soon as we start walking. And I mean, all of this sounds cool, or all of this sounds hard, or all of this sounds poetic, depending on how you listen to this. Hopefully I did a good job of conveying what I've been thinking about, but this isn't poetry, it's psychology. Attachment theory explains our need for orientation. Self-determination theory explains why competence and belonging really matter to us. And behavioral activation explains why movement creates matter. We didn't lose masculinity, we just lost the channels and the foundations that aimed them. But it's time to rebuild those, one step at a time. Because I'm tired of seeing men suffer every day. And I'm tired of no one doing anything about it. No one's gonna help us. So it's time that we pick ourselves up and we make ourselves strong and we start finding meaning. Also, real quick, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's watched my couple of shorts that I put up. And people have been commenting on them as well, which is awesome. Like, it's so sick. I've been kind of missing for a couple weeks. I just finished exams. Next semester is my last semester of my degree. And then I start training to be a provisional psychologist by doing my graduate diploma. So I've still got a couple of months left before I'm licensed, but it's going to be awesome. But I have 10 weeks now until my next semester, and my plan is to I'm going to be filming every single day, like every single day, which is why this is my first long form video. Hopefully it works out. But I also just moved into my new apartment, and the first thing I did was I went and bought lights so I could start filming straight away, but I don't have a TV, and I have a chair and a lounge and a mattress on the floor because I moved in maybe a couple of days ago, and everything's still on its way. But I didn't want to wait until I had a setup to start filming. So I'm going to continue to film in an empty living room if I have to. It might sound cringy, but like the comments on YouTube telling me that like someone needs to start talking about this stuff is like, that was enough for me to lock in, and I'm ready to go. So I have about 40 different scripts planned. And I'm hoping to film all of them within the next 10 weeks. And we can just bang out all of this. So hopefully you like this stuff. I'd love to hear your feedback. Same with like feedback on the lighting or like the colors or anything. Like, hit me up with it. Because I want you to be able to, like, I want to be entertaining enough that this is interesting, that you learn something. Without it, I don't want this to be a lecture. I don't want this to come across like I'm lecturing on psychology. No one wants to listen to those videos when they're not studying a degree. So I'd love to hear feedback to keep up the engagement and be more interesting so I can share this knowledge in a way that's actually impactful. Yeah, I'd love to hear from all of you. And thank you so much for anyone that's watching this. I appreciate all of you. Like, you guys are the best. So stay tuned.